Okay, hi everyone. This is Gage Allen. I'm the writer, director, capture artist, and maker of Destiny Solas. This is the director's commentary for episode 1. Yeah, there's been requests for a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and this is kind of one of the things that's been on my plate forever. And I decided to start knocking these out. So we're doing director's commentaries for all of our projects on here, and our most recent thing, Monster Hunter Echo, but also everything else. So we're starting with episode 1. Destiny Solas has a long history. It started in 2014, 2015, early 2015, where I had this idea of like combining the crafted E3 demos from the mid 2000s to early 2010s, and like using it as an art form to tell stories, but through gameplay perspective, and then adding like custom VO that sounded like it was in the game, and visual effects and UI animation, all that, to make it look like stuff was happening in game that was actually being kind of fabricated. And so I targeted the opening mission of Destiny as like the pilot, and yeah, it was something that was in the works for a long time. Episode 1 started originally as I think this version of it was started in 2019. A lot of this footage that you're seeing, the beginning part of the wall, first half of the episode, I think it was actually shot in 2019. And even some of this VO. So that's 6 years ago now when this particular stuff was done. Yeah, and then that's me talking. This is the one time you probably follow the original lines in the game with Ghost. Obviously the player isn't voiced, so that's all original, but Ghost here says pretty close to the original dialogue in the opening, and then that's it. Like afterwards we deviate pretty much completely in most ways, and he talks on his own. Originally, Destiny Solas immersive play stuff was going to have the voice of the normal Nolan North Ghost, and then the player character is just going to talk around him. I got really frustrated with how restricted that was, so I worked on R&D'ing the ghost sound and how to replicate it, and once I solved it, I then did the temp VO for it. And yeah, that ended up, I was just like, yeah, it's just temp VO, but then I showed it to a couple of the other voice actors, and they were like, Gage, like, Ghost sounds really empathetic, and maybe you should think about actually doing this. I was like, wait, really? Because I was just kind of doing it just to, have filler. So I decided to keep it, and that was because I got convinced to do it.
Why do you keep calling me Guardian?
Because that's what you are.
But yeah.
A protector of the people.
This is born out of my deep, deep love of Destiny. I played Destiny 1 beta and have been playing... Oh my god, I hit the mic. I've been playing ever since, really. And this opening mission had such a strong tone to it, and that early Destiny, because Destiny kind of changed in a way I didn't really connect with as much, and so I really wanted to replicate how this early version of Destiny made me feel. So when I wrote all of this and did all the dialogue, and I tend to have pretty good dialogue writing. I have discovered I've written for 4 games and done dialogue specific things. It tends to be fast paced and a lot of back and forth, but when I was writing all this, I was just trying to think about, well, what would I logically ask and talk about, and what makes sense for the characters, and what would the flow be like. And I did the sound as well. So this spatial treatment here took a lot. Yeah, reverb was really, that kind of became my specialty. Just trying to make, and I did that on purpose. We stay with the character. We have him cough in the stairwell because I want to try and sell you on the reality of where you are, and like really show what I'm trying to do. So that was a very strategically placed cough, so I could just, we hear the person being a person. And so a lot of, I did the audio for this, so there's so much audio work. So much work.
Oh shit. Was that one of them?
Yeah.
It was.
For a lot of people, that moment, basically right there, it's like, oh, I get it. Like, I clicked. Immersive play clicked for people here.
So tread
But yeah,
carefully.
doing Ghost was interesting. He's such a sweet
All right.
character.
Wait.
Because my ghost is different. This ghost in Solas is different than all the other ghosts, the official ones.
You will survive in the darkness.
And he's a very unique
Let's see.
unique cat, you know. Guardian, like he's got that tone to it. Where are you going, Guardian? Nope, that was a mistake. Like it's just I love how playful he kind of is.
And he's kind of right in between Nolan North and Peter Dinklage.
The original Ghost, you know, new Ghost and old Ghost, he's kind of sits right in between them a little bit in tone. He's got the playfulness of the new one, but he has these moments of kind of monotoneness that the old one has that I think played really well in some ways. So,
You've been granted great powers to
and I restructured a lot of the writing in all of this, and
in your abilities.
like this part,
They'll come naturally.
What abilities?
boom, and then just the reality of like, okay, I killed him easily.
Holy shit.
Oh my god, I just killed something. I wanted it to feel real and grounded.
Breathe. Remember to focus.
And how Ghost would, you know, be like, "No, man, you got to keep going. Like you can't panic right now. You got to move. Like it's gonna be all right, but you got to move." So this was all mapped out very specifically, and
Damn it. Why do they keep jumping out like that? So not cool.
They thrive in the dark.
this was interesting. That line got a laugh. Why do they keep jumping out like that? So not cool. But this part, when he's like, you know, bring them to the light, he's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? I thought that was the funniest thing ever, but like no one laughs. I was like, it's the first time I noticed. I was like, okay, what I don't know is funny, and then what I think is funny maybe isn't funny. But a lot of this, I mean, I'm writing kind of for me.
The light within you. It gets stronger the more darkness you destroy. Remember to
Very
trust
deep, personal,
yourself.
but like,
Okay.
so you connect with the material more and you feel the emotion in it. And then, you know, then this whole, and then, you know, injecting my own lore and world building that's not in the game, just to further flesh out what's happening on screen.
What's that up ahead?
Like,
That's a fallen cache.
this part here is a great example.
Interesting. Revised heavy armor schematics.
Yeah, the heavy armor schematics I came up with of like, because I figured that would play into the combat later really well.
Fallen are everywhere. Stay vigilant.
But yeah, then this, you know, classic
You weren't kidding.
Not in situations like this.
shotgun bit, which I went over just constantly, like over and over and over and over, and just trying to get the writing to feel right.
Their blades are electrified. Try to keep them at a distance.
I'm trying.
Like this, I'm trying, and then he runs up to him, goes point blank.
Stay down.
That's not what I meant.
How many of these things are there?
Yeah.
Too many for us to handle. If we
But I
don't
think all of that was 2019 up until
Somewhere else.
next time the world ends,
I think around here is there.
Thanks.
There's been a cut already.
And revive the next
Actually,
one over
it doesn't look like it because I hit it really well. But there was a cut that separate. That's like there's like a year between capture here.
Any more of those things?
not at the moment. I suggest we move.
That line a lot of people liked. You know, next time the world ends, I'll make sure to let you know beforehand.
Open fire.
I just love that back and forth. I really wanted to explore and kind of just sink my teeth into what that would feel like and sound like. And I really feel proud of where I landed on the dynamics of Ghost and Vero and
Extremely dangerous.
this whole sequence. And I think a lot of people could connect and relate to what it was like.
Do that.
You need to thin the herd around.
And this was interesting. I was like trying to figure out like, you know, I had no HUD, so I was guessing when I would get the effect. But that's an additional visual effect. I'm doing a lot of stuff on top to emphasize it. I'm doing a lot of voice work
Follow your
to make it sound specific. And then we have this awesome moment. And like Rex killed it. Oh my god. Rex Anderson does the voice of Vero. And I've worked with Rex for years. He's been my voiceover guy in so many trailers.
That was amazing.
So I know his range really well, so he's so good at those screams, you know.
survival.
So cool.
Seems you, however, are different.
I didn't really summon anything. It just happened.
I'm trying to tie the movement to the acting and all that, and
After eliminating darkness,
trying to, and also the acting to the movement.
changes from guardian to guardian. Looks like it sensed fire within you. Shows you have a deep connection with the sun.
That's also different from the game. That was the first hint, really, that like
From here.
we're building our own version of the
That's on
world.
that opening
you know, and we didn't do a ton of that in this, but there were multiple times where we were doing our own world building and our own lore. And a few of you eagle-eyed people were like, I think you guys are doing your own version of Destiny rather than just copying the story. And I'm like, yeah. But I didn't want to say anything right out of the gate. And in this part, I really wanted to be very...
God.
That looks like a fallen catch. It's the largest ship to fall in half. They use it to pillage the planets that were once owned by humanity.
Like, this ship is such a great moment, right, in Destiny.
No way that's real.
When it first happens. But I wanted... So I put different music in, and the VO and everything. And that's the first F word right there. And that's intentional. I was like, I need to feel like, holy shit. That is... I can't even speak.
Looks like they're already here.
Then we've got a fight ahead of us. Get ready.
And then trying to time the writing and the VO to when the ship shows up. And now this is where I think everyone kind of lost their minds. This was... I almost cut the HUD stuff. Because that's not from the game, right? Like, we did that. And I literally worked crunch for like a week and a half trying to get that in. I was like, I might have to cut it for time. I was running out of time to do it, and I was like, no, I think it's cool enough. I really need to get the HUD stuff in. And then Paul Weir, who's the sound designer for No Man's Sky, he worked on the sounds for the HUD, so you hear some of his work. I've worked with Paul for years. He's worked on both Solas episodes. But he did those little sounds you hear like that in the HUD for episode 1. That's Paul. And I came up with Eve, and I gave her a personality. That's Felicia. She does amazing. Worked with her for years too. And then Ty Harper, who voices the Battlefield film, he's doing Yin.
Of course it is.
And this was interesting. This was like trying to we shot a bunch of footage and then trying to piece it together and then write a whole sequence that made sense and felt good. It was a complicated writing challenge, but I think I got it. And this moment was really specific. I wanted him to be that idea of like another ship's coming, and then you know it's like his voice is barely heard. And oh, right here is a good example of improvising. I saw that and I thought, oh, I could have the character Tom be like, you need to check on him. So I'm in real time making this up as I go along. And then I was like, well, maybe she says, turn around and take care of those. And I turned around and there were people there. So a lot of it's like in the moment, I'm making it up. I'm like playing this scenario in my head. And then in post, I get to write the VO, put temp VO in, and then I get the actors and then do all the sound stuff. Same here, like when he threw the knife, I realized, oh man, I needed to explain that. Here's another example. That's a real player. That's an actual random player who just runs in there. And as I saw him run in, I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do this thing where the tank's gonna shoot. And then so I looked at the tank and I'm like, oh, you could be like, get out of there. And then I look, so I'm making this up in real time. And then I'm like, I gotta go check on him. So my brain is coming up with what this might sound like. So in my head, I'm seeing all of this, but really in the game, I'm just running. And then the player shoots at me and I thought, oh, that ruined the take. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna keep going. But in post, I had the system... This whole dialogue of where he's like, oh, sorry, my ears are ringing, was all to try and explain a random player actually shooting at me. So I felt really proud because that's where the my ears are ringing line came from. And then obviously you can see the tracking I did on the walker, so that took forever. Jesus, it was frame by frame for a lot of it. This was luck. I just guessed that I had enough. I waited and hoped the tank, because I had no HUD, I hoped the tank was low enough. And I got lucky there. I managed to get... And we got it down enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, the only people that is us is me and it's Yin. It's Vero and Yin. Everyone else you see are real players. So if you were playing Destiny, if you happen to be playing, like this is real. This guy on the left, that's a real player. That was by sheer chance. Like, that was not... I just got lucky. And so the only thing that's us is going to be Vero and Yin. And then this part when he's like, guys, go take care of him. I wrote that in because they had that moment where they jumped through. And we shot a bunch. So there was like 15 different versions. And I got to pick the best one and then write stuff. And hopefully it made sense and do some creative editing. So like seeing the fact that I turned right and I just happened to catch them while they were shooting. I heard them shooting. And in my head I was like, if I turn right at the right time, I can maybe catch them doing something kind of cool. And then the fact that they stayed back, like it just feels very grounded and organic. But yeah, there are some of these shots where I was also doing both characters. So I have one hand on one controller controlling Yin and one hand on the other controlling Vero. And then there were other times we had our producer helping. Yeah, I think Patty was doing Yin in this shot. It's like, okay, turn left. And we're not acting to the VO, I should mention. I'm just in my head I'm in my head figuring it out and directing everyone else, going like, okay, turn left, turn right, okay, go do this. And then in post, I figure out what the right structure is based on what I had in my head while we were filming. We don't get the VO ahead of time and then play it out to the VO. We've never done that. Which might blow a lot of people's minds, actually, but it's not. The VO is really tailored to the footage, and the footage is tailored to the movie I have in my brain while we're shooting, and what I'm trying to come up with in real time. Yeah.
I think that's all of them.
I'm picking up a faint signal, which might mean a working ship on the other side of that wall.
It's so cool rewatching this. It's crazy to think about. I mean, it was 2014, and my first capture of this was back then. So it's weird to be like, man, I actually did it. I actually released it.
Well, that's quite the ship.
Also, all the sound effects in this section is fake. It's all done by Paul. Paul Weir, who did the sound for No Man's Sky and is incredible. He rebuilt the sound for this entire cinematic so we could layer VO on top.
Do you think it'll fly?
So I did all the VO, and I did the VO work, and then he did all the sound design in this sequence. So, like, everything. The ship, the ghost movement sounds, the creature sounds, that's all Paul. And we did it so we could... Because you can't separate the audio from this, like, cinematics. I couldn't turn off the music or turn off the voice, so we had to rebuild it from scratch to make it feel real.
You sure you know what you're doing?
Oh yeah, it's pretty simple, really.
This is my line, too.
Pressing a button. Except you're doing thousands of calculations to ensure the ship doesn't bang into the walls and kill both of us.
That's my humor. I have really dorky humor with Destiny. And like a lot of my humor bleeds into my work. So I don't know, I thought that was funny. It's like pressing a button, but not. He's like, you sure? And he's like about to say, I don't know if I should fly with you, and Ghost is like, nah, we're going anyways, and he kidnaps him. That's a fake lens flare.
That was the beginning of everything.
And I did this whole next part because I wanted to build up, you know, the feeling of it.
For a greater purpose.
And that's a cinematic we shot. There is no camera, there's no cinematic tool or camera, and but we shot cinematics. So that first one we shot, that's from the game, and then this is a re-edit of when we arrived to the city.
A haven of sorts.
Because I just love that arrival scene.
That was the first time I saw the Traveler.
And this whole moment was about the feeling, right? Like I wanted to get the feeling.
I felt a harmony with it, as if I could speak with it, yet not mutter a word.
Mutter. That word kills me every time. I should have been utter, yet not utter a word. And I said mutter, and I'm like, so every time I watch it, I lose my mind because that word's the wrong word. Like it's not, it flows better with utter. Anyways, that's my writer brain losing it every time I watch this. And then we have a scene from Destiny 1, which is my way of saying, hey, we're going to use both in the show. And so, yeah, there's some technical work that went behind trying to get Destiny 1 to look better. So this is not just out of the box Destiny. There was some work behind the scenes that I did to try and make it look nicer and sharper and everything. Eve and Yin. And then that's our cinematic. We shot that. That's in game. Destiny 1. All of this is our footage here. Which I remember someone sent me a version of that last shot that it looked like in one of the trailers, or it was like the opening of Final Shape. It looked like Bungie had taken some kind of inspiration from that angle, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I did that little light visual effect as well, and that really piqued a lot of interest. I remember doing that. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it's I feel proud of that. And the voice and the sound and all of that.
Mine will be Vero Solas.
Yeah, and that's episode 1. So when I animated the little title, this is the early version of the titles. To be continued in episode 2, which clearly is coming very soon after episode 1, right? Right, Gage? Gage, why are you not talking? Hello? How come you're not saying anything? Oh, is it because it's 3 years in the future? And it's been 3 years. And it took you 3 years to do episode 2. Jesus. Anyways, yeah, that's episode 1. It blew up, and there's a ton of press coverage, and Bungie's narrative people reached out. One of the narrative leads reached out to me after this came out and said, hey, you took what we did in Destiny and you did a better job with it, and it was really good to see, and offered me a lot of just compliments. So thank you to Bungie's narrative folks for saying that and being really kind and really supportive of episode 1. It was a real honor. Though I still never got that. Still never got the icon for movie of the week. They never gave it to me. Still to this day, it's 3-4 years. No, 3 years later. So at some point it'd be nice to get it. But anyways, yeah, there you go. Episode 1. Probably completely useless director's commentary, but I really appreciate the warm words, and I love running into fans in person and just on the internet from this. So yeah, we will do episode 2 next. Here we go.